Hey everybody, it's Alira. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a stitch with me, and I'm going to be working on Dragons of the Sabbat. This is a chart by Pain-Free Crafts, and the artwork is by Ian Stokes. This is a retired piece, unfortunately, so it is not available at this time. We're going to be working in this guy, this black right here. So I have gotten the outlining done today so that I could just stitch and talk and not have to worry about watching Pattern Keeper or anything like that. So if you've been looking forward to this video from me talking about it in my whip parade, thank you so much for coming to check it out. This is not going to be a stitch with me for everyone. I'm planning on talking pretty heavily about some pretty heavy subjects. You know, this is definitely, I would say, for my longtime viewers who have been with me from the beginning, have just really know kind of what I'm about as far as, you know, I'm pretty open and I like to talk about mental health because I think it's so important to I just think it's important to keep that conversation up. We've gotten a lot better as a society about recognizing mental health and the importance that it plays in our lives. But it has a lot to, there's still a lot of improvement to go. And not only improvement, but it's really difficult for the people who struggle with it. Including myself. And the more that we hear about other people's struggles, I mean, it's not that misery loves company, but to have just to know that you aren't alone in what you go through. So let me zoom in. Hopefully my camera's pretty straight on, and I tried to get it at an angle so that my fingers weren't in the way, like, super hard, but, oops. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But grab your stitching, grab a drink, you know, relax. Part of the other part of this disclaimer about that this is not going to be for everyone. There is, consider this your trigger warning. Because there will be one specific subject that I want to talk about that may be really hard for a lot of people to, or some people, a lot of people, what have you, to listen to. So please watch and listen at your own discretion. Make sure you're in a headspace where yeah, where you'll be okay to listen to hard stuff. I don't want this to seem like it's a moan session. You know, I don't want, especially, you know, if you've just clicked on this video and you've never, like, seen any of my other videos, or kind of, you know, if you've not been with me for very long and you're wanting to get to know me a little bit more, I absolutely welcome you. I welcome that. You know, I don't want to give the impression that it's always doom and gloom, and I never have anything lovely to talk about. But this has been in the works since really last September, as far as wanting to talk about it. I realize that I have no obligation to share anything personal online. You know, video or no video. I realize that. Again, Part of why I felt that I wanted to is because that conversation just, you know, a lot of my channel has been sort of a documentary for myself, documentation for myself, about my journey, my struggles, mental health wise, not just cross stitching. You know, and I realize that that's not for a lot of people. You know, you don't want to come online and hear about somebody else's struggles when maybe you're just trying to find something positive to listen to or whatnot. That's totally fine. Again, I know this video is not going to be for everyone. It's just going to be me stitching black. So it's not even really going to be anything to look at. But I know I'm probably going to cry. I'm kind of hoping I got it out of my system a little bit last night. I had a really good, really excellent conversation with my husband. But no guarantees, you know. So I'm not even sure 100% where to start. I know this is going to be a long ass video. Because, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pause a lot, and because I'm gathering thoughts and things like that. Yeah. So, where do I want to start? I do have notes. Hang on, let me grab those real quick. Okay. I think I want to start off with actually, God, where do I want to start? There's so much I want to talk about, and I don't know where to start. Ah, dang it. Oh, DMC. It doesn't seem to matter what kind of needles I use. If I'm not careful, I shred floss. Okay. I will be flipping my work too. I like to tuck my ends in on the back rather than have floss hanging out on the front. Sorry, I gotta try and thread this shredded floss. Come on. Grr. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Now to end it without popping it back off the needle eye. Okay. You are attached to my light, so I'm really going to try not to bump it or you. Got my needles all loaded up. I just have to remember to go 1 through 10 instead of 10 and down. There's one. There it is. Okay. So I guess we'll kind of go chronologically a little bit, I guess. Again, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I had been looking for some answers as far as a diagnosis. I was really, really, really convinced that I have ADHD and just really wanted some I don't know, answers, really, just answers. So I did get an appointment with a behavioral psychologist clinic place that supposedly specializes in ADHD, and I went in and did the testing. And after the testing, they decided that I did not have ADHD. They confirmed that my depression is a moderate major depressive disorder, which that's been diagnosed for years. I knew that. And that I have a social anxiety disorder, which again, knew that. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder long before that. What I was not expecting was what else they pulled out of the hat based on their testing. Now, I will say that since starting with my therapist back in September of last year and sharing with him the diagnosis, because it was kind of a circus to get my test results back. They were ready 2 weeks after I took the test, but I didn't get them for 4 months because my doctor's office is kind of incompetent. But anyways, even now, he really feels like I was misdiagnosed as not having it. He's like, he hasn't come right out and said, because I don't think he's not like quote unquote qualified to diagnose. But we're basically treating my therapy like I have been diagnosed, and it's been helping a lot. But even though I feel like they did a disservice to me as far as the ADHD goes, the questions on their main test that I took, I recognized the ADHD questions. Do you have a hard time sitting still and keeping your leg from moving? Do you have to get up and move around? Like, these are outdated, in my opinion. They are outdated questions that are focused on the research done on men and boys and how they manifest ADHD symptoms. There is a plethora of new research out there about how women and adults will have ADHD symptoms. And so, yeah, I took that part of it with a grain of salt. But they pulled a personality disorder diagnosis out of the rest of the questions, and it rocked my world. I was not prepared for that. It's a relatively rare one. I think I want to say it was like 5% of the population of the United States has been diagnosed with it. No, that's not even right. That's less than that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's called dependent personality disorder. There is a spectrum to any mental illness. Just like autism is a spectrum, there can be other spectrums as well, and this is definitely one of those that can fall under that umbrella. So I do not have a severe form of it. A severe form would be like I needed someone to tell me what to wear every day. That without someone else's guidance, I wouldn't be able to, do basic functions. That's not what mine is like. I do have a tendency to have a very, very, very difficult time in making decisions, big decisions by myself. Some of the sort of classic symptoms are interpersonal relationship related. And so yeah, it took me a few months to like not feel like I was being completely redefined as a person simply because I had this information. It's given me some insights and made me more aware of, if I'm falling into too much reliance. I've also, I'll be 45 this year, and I've had this since I was, the issues that come with it, I've been struggling with for forever, since adolescence at the very least. So I've developed a lot of coping mechanisms, and masking, for sure on it. Not necessarily healthy ones. We are definitely working on a lot of the bad habits that I have developed. And some of that is actually that I would go to the extreme of, anyway. So there was that. I'm doing much better as far as, it does not define me, that is for sure. So I got that, like I said, it was like 4 months. It's January or February, I think. Late January, early February when I got that. Late January, because I had not had my surgery yet. And then in the early part of the year, I don't remember if when I started having issues with my gallbladder, like mid-year last year. Finally got them diagnosed, and I had gallstones. And they scheduled me for surgery in February. Got that done. Surgery went really well. I have an allergy to some opiates, and we're not exactly sure which ones. So the hospital is always very hesitant about giving me any kind of opiate painkiller, which I'm nervous about anyways too. Like I'm even allergic to the derivative of Vicodin, which is tramadol, and doesn't usually, people who are allergic to Vicodin are able to take tramadol, but I am not. So I was only able to have like Tylenol after surgery, and that was quite the adventure when it came to that. Now for the anesthesia, I was intubated while I was under, and I did not know this, but when you have been intubated, anytime you're intubated, after being extubated, you really are supposed to be given basically exercises for your lungs, just to make sure that there's no complications with it. I did not know this, and this was an outpatient surgery. I was in for the surgery at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was home by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And they did not have me do any kind of breathing exercises or nothing. So 3 weeks later, I developed pneumonia. And it was bad. It was really bad. Like I had a fever for a solid week. And I was sick for 6 weeks. Like, solidly could not function for an entire day. There was about a week and a half where I couldn't stand up long enough to take a shower. I still have to take an inhaler occasionally. 5 months later. No, 4 months later. Because I still cough, and have the mucus buildup with that cough. So it has gotten better. It is not as bad. But that definitely took a huge toll, and I couldn't work for a month. And then, the surgery and subsequent illness triggered what's called Telen effluvium. And I actually heard Small Town Stitches, she's actually struggling with this right now too, after she has had an illness. And my heart goes out to her, because if you don't know what it is where you lose, in a span of about 3 to 6 months is typical. You lose like 30 to 50% of the volume of your hair. We are not talking about like, oh, I just, have a little extra shedding. No. This is like your hair is falling out. And I'm telling you, the worst thing to tell somebody who is going through this is, but you have so much hair still. You have so much hair. Maybe my hair was thick to begin with, but having half of it fall out is debilitating in some ways. I realize it's not as bad as some people go through, It tends to be temporary. However, some of that hair loss can be permanent. Some or all can be permanent. And it's caused by stress to your body, like trauma and stress. This happened to me when I had all 3 of my kids to a milder degree. It happened when I got divorced and lost like 80 pounds in 6 months. It never ceases to cause a lot of, what's the word I want? A lot of distress. I mean, we're talking fistfuls of hair when you're washing your hair, and brushful after brushful, and like thank God it is slowing down, but I didn't want to wear my hair down for a long time, because every time I touched my hair, I would be tangled in it because of how much was falling out. And I realize that, I have waist-length hair. What falls out is going to seem like a lot more, quote-unquote, than it is. But I also know how much my normal shed is and what that feels like, and this was exponentially worse. I can tell a difference when I pull my hair back and my ponytail is half the size it used to be. I can tell when I braid my hair, and it takes a lot longer to braid because it's not as thick and I can get more braid into it. I can see my scalp where I wasn't able to see scalp through my hair before. So, you know, diminishing someone's experience just because you don't see, because you can't appreciate a difference in their hair. You know, the best thing you can say to be supportive of someone is you know, saying, you know, it still looks great. I can't tell a difference. Sorry you're going through that, is so much better and appreciated than, but you have so much hair. Anyway, so that's getting better. I am starting to see some growth. It's going to look ridiculous for a while. The last time it started growing in, I looked like just a puffball. It's so stupid. Here, I'll put a picture in of, we went hiking, and this was what it looked like when it started growing back in. It was just fuzz everywhere. Yeah, that was after some weight loss too. I'd love to get back to that. I would love to get back to that and not lose a bunch of hair again, but you know. And then Stitch North was happening. And during that time and in the weeks following, I want to make sure that I don't want to be discreet at the same time as sharing. So, to put it as simply as I can, a friendship dissolved. Multiple friendships dissolved. I won't go into the details, but this was in a circle of stitchy friends. And one party felt like the other party did something terrible, and I want to say it ended up being a dissolved friendship based on misunderstanding, but damn, my thread broke again. Expectations were made. Expectations were assumed. And when that backfired and I stood up for myself, it was not taken well. And it was very, on one hand, it was very anti-dramatic because it was very much unfriend, block, not talk out what was going on or attempt to communicate further by the central person involved in this. And I was content to leave it at that, you know. Sometimes friendships have to end because that's what's best for you as a person, to be true to yourself and if the other person isn't willing to put in the effort of communication, well, I deserved better than that. What I was not expecting was high school drama in the form of another so-called friend who had the privilege of knowing my actual identity in person. And taking her issue with me and how I handled the situation between someone else to a public place like a group messenger chat and calling me out. By that identity. Luckily, and I mean, it's not top secret, you know. People have figured out my actual identity, and you know, but I prefer to be a Lara the Stitcher online in this capacity, in this community that we have. That's how I identify. You know, there's a lot of that going around, right? And you know, yes, some of it is privacy, some of it is some anonymity, especially with the business that I own. And luckily the people in that group I consider friends, and you know, don't think that they would ever misuse that information. But you know, how high school do we have to be to not respect someone's identity? Especially this person has been stalked online before, has been issued death threats before. So she absolutely knew what she was doing when she did this, and it was just beyond made me sick. But the culmination of this friendship dissolving came on the heels of me being told that I was a bad mom by my own mother. You know, she claimed it was a bad joke when I talked to her about it later. But that's not something you joke. It's not something you say to anybody. But yeah, I was basically told I was a shitty mom and a shitty friend all in the same day. And when you already struggle with self-esteem and whatnot, I'm not saying that if this person had a problem with me, they shouldn't discuss it with me. But when they bring issues that I can't do anything about in retrospect, especially when I thought we had talked specifically about those issues, you know, there's not a hell of a lot I can do about that. But just that situation, you know, those people being a big part of my stitchy world, it killed my stitch bug for sure. I didn't, it was very painful to try and stitch. I did a lot of diamond painting and you know, just kind of step back. Well, that's kind of when my videos stopped coming too. But one thing that it did cause, and this is the trigger warning that I was talking about. My therapist later told me that what I was experiencing is called passive suicidal ideation, where you are not actively thinking about how you would exit this world of your own volition, but the thoughts are intrusive and interrupt. It's more than, oh, I don't care if I die. And there is absolutely the dark that comes with that. It's just undescribable. You know, to think to yourself, unbidden, that if I were to walk into traffic and get hit by a bus, or if I just walk to the end of the driveway, step out on that curve that everybody takes too fast, it would all be over and it would not hurt anymore. I wouldn't have to worry about being a shitty friend to anyone ever again. I wouldn't have to worry about screwing up my son or my other kids because I'm a terrible mom. You know, you just, even when you're fighting so hard and you're trying to, you're like, you want to tell yourself, no, this is not what we want to think about. This is not how we want to feel. This is, it's the struggle is, I don't know if I can describe it accurately. You know, like I said, no, it's not as bad as actively thinking about how you're going to kill yourself, or making a plan to actually do it. Like, here's the steps, you're saying your goodbyes, that kind of thing. Oops. But, you know, as my therapist said, that just because you don't have active ideation, or you're not actively suicidal, doesn't make it any less concerning. Doesn't make what you're experiencing less just because it's different or not as bad, you know. And I don't, like I said, I didn't even have a word or a term. I mean, I know not everything has to have labels, but I didn't even understand what I was going through. You know, and I felt guilty because I wanted to talk to somebody. And I would go through the list of people in my head that I felt comfortable with enough, safe enough, and you just don't want to be a burden. And especially with my case, I didn't have you know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as I'm not actually suicidal. How do I describe this? What am I gonna? Is somebody gonna feel like I'm wasting their time because, you know, are they gonna think I'm just trying to get attention? You know, I didn't know how to handle that. And any kind of thought of like the suicide hotlines, it goes out the window. You don't think about that when you're just trying to keep the thoughts of what would it be like if I just stepped into the lake and didn't bother swimming. You know, everybody always says, you know, oh my God, I can't believe so-and-so didn't even talk to me. You know, but when you're in that headspace, especially if you've had a lot of rejection in your life, it's really hard to convince yourself that you are not just going to be annoying someone, that you don't want to wake somebody up at 3 o'clock in the morning when they're busting their ass trying to make ends meet. My husband's working 80 hours a week between 3 jobs. We're okay, you know, we're paying bills and everything, but if we want anything above and beyond just paying bills, you know, he's... And, well, Lara, why are you up at 4 o'clock in the morning and cross-stitching and not busting your ass? You don't think that was part of the struggle? To be so... like, I want to be able to concentrate well enough to pound a hammock out a day. You know, make videos regularly so that at least I can justify a little bit of this hobby with, you know, ad revenue. So yeah, the negative self-talk was pretty bad. You know, I did not feel like I was good enough for anything. And again, this is not, I'm not telling you guys this because I want boo-hoos and oh my gosh, you know, that's not what this is about. This is about me saying that if you are or have experienced anything like that, I see you. The pain in your heart is, in your mind is physical at that point. And you know, people would say, you know, oh, just reach out. It is much harder than that. You have to get past the voices in your head saying that you are not good enough. Why bother? To be able to reach out to someone. You have to get past the feeling like you are not worth someone's time to be able to take someone's time to talk. And like our hammocking community just lost someone to suicide on Monday of last week. This is Sunday, so it's been almost a week. And it has rocked everyone. I did not know him very well. I'd only met him once, but my husband was you know, he had hosted him here for, you know, one of our events. He was here a couple of our events, I think. You know, multiple conversations, you know, people who were even like, I had to call one of my friends because I knew she was a lot closer to this gentleman than, and I didn't want her stumbling across the Facebook post about it. And I had to call her and tell her, and she was just, you know, nobody saw it coming. And I think I understand why nobody sees something like that coming, because when you are in that state of mind, you can't get past at least in my case, can't get past the feeling of not being a burden. I don't want to wake my husband up at 3 o'clock in the morning with this amorphous feeling of, I don't want to be here. You know, he had to get up and work 18 hours again the next day. I'm very, very, very grateful that it was temporary, that it didn't get worse, that just time and talking through what I was going through that was causing those feelings. I was able to talk about those issues. You know, maybe not necessarily what they were causing, but I had a wonderful support system in place when it came to that whole situation. You know, in a way, I have those former friends to thank for giving me a situation that allowed me to see who my true friends are and what I value in a friendship and what's important in a friendship. I didn't even tell my therapist until a few weeks ago. I didn't tell my husband about this until yesterday. You know, well past when those feelings were gone. And, you know, man, am I glad those feelings were temporary. But for someone who can't get out of those feelings, oh man, the pain they must be in. Oh, it breaks my heart. Because people can say, oh, just talk to somebody all day long, but it's just not that easy, guys. It's just not that easy. There are mental mountains to get through in order to do that. I guess, I don't know, part of me is like, you know, check up on your quiet friends. Check up on people who are going through stressful times. Make sure, even if they're not okay because the stressful thing is still happening, you know, keep checking in. Keep checking in. Because I'm telling you, they may not have the strength to check in with you when they need to. You know, when you ask your friends, hey, you okay? Mean it. You know, don't ask that question if you're not prepared for oh man, I'm really not doing okay. Don't brush them off at that point, you know? Make sure you got time and be sincere. Be sincere in wanting to know what people are going through. And if you can't be that person, that's okay. Just don't ask. Don't ask if you're not actually prepared for a real answer. I mean, you know, yeah, I get it. Hey, how's it going? That's like our universal greeting, right? I think we do ourselves a disservice by using that and not really expecting a true answer. But I am happy to say it has gotten much, much, much better. You know, I'm still a little sad. You know, friendships ending like that, especially I think as an adult, is not easy. You know, but gotta move on. Taking some steps to mitigate, and allowing yourself to heal, I think, is a big thing. There are, like I said, this was Stitchy community related, so there are projects that are associated with those friendships that I will be putting aside, maybe forever, maybe not. I will not pressure myself into, oh dang it, I will not pressure myself into thinking that just because I own the pattern I have to stitch it. If it has, you know, feelings associated with it that I'm not ready for. You know, even this piece is hard for me simply because I worked on it so much during that friendship existing. You know, a lot of memories associated with in this piece with it. You know, I never really understood the whole, you know, memories are stitched into this piece until, like, it's smacking me in the face of that. But yeah, so this is helping. I'm stitching on this piece. I'm making new memories with it. I'm mourning what's lost, but you know, picking up and moving on. Sometimes you still gotta go lay flowers at the grave, you know? And if working on this is like that for me, then, you know, other pieces will be, you know, that I've got kitted up. I will pull the fabric and I will use them for something else until I decide if and when I will ever stitch the other pieces. So yeah, in a way, that situation taught me a lot about how far I've come in my communication. Because even though that particular group of people may have thought that I did not communicate well, I feel like I communicated in a way that prevented me from being walked over. And it made me realize what I find acceptable in a relationship and what I don't. But speaking of pieces with memories stitched into them, you know, I'm not going to go into a ton of details, but if you follow her, you know, my dear friend Suki, the brown-eyed stitcher, you know that she has had some major struggles with her moving, her interstate move. The moving company has had her items for 2 months now, almost a solid 2 months. She moved May 29th, and they are still giving her the runaround. And her treasure hunt bookshelf is in that truck. And you want to talk about a piece that has been stitched with a lot of memories in it, that her piece is definitely that. I mean, you know, I've been talking to her, obviously, this whole time, checking in on her. She still has hope. I have hope, you know, that her things will actually show up. But she's also having to come to terms with the reality that she may never see her things again. It will be like, you guys, it will be almost exactly like her house burned down. You know, she moved. She's not going back to her old house. She's got a new house. And she, other than getting all the living beings out of her house, she has pretty much nothing. The clothes on her back, on the few things she was able to fit in her car, along with 2 people, 2 cats, and 2 dogs. I will be heading up a GoFundMe campaign in August if she does not have her things by then, because she's got to start thinking about rebuilding. I have spoken with her about this, and while she's, you know, she has that uncomfortable feeling that one gets from charity, you know. You don't want to have to look to other people to help provide. But you guys, she has more than a few $100s wrapped up in this moving company. So it's not like she doesn't have a limitless well to tap into to rebuild. And I really think that we as a community can come together and help her out with this. She's going to be making a wish list for items that she's going to need. And, you know, it's nice to be able to replenish your necessities, but I would love to see us come together to provide her with, you know, thank goodness her stitching, love of stitching hasn't completely died with the thought of losing everything that she's worked on prior to this, but, you know, she's not, she doesn't have anything. You know, all her fabric that she may have had, she didn't have, you know, like a huge stash. At least not to my knowledge. You know, her daughter Kaylin, like crochets and things. You know, you got to be able to have the more than just basics to be able to feel like you're thriving, you know. She's also going to have a P.O. box set up so that anyone who has physical items that they'd like to donate, if it comes down to that, that will be a thing. So I will help pass that information on. You know, if you want to do a gift card or something, you know, thebrowneyedstitcher@gmail.com, you know. And if I screw that up and it's actually Yahoo, I'll make sure that that goes on the screen here. But yeah, she's gonna need help. And I knew she wouldn't ask for help on her own. It was definitely me going, I think we should do this. And she's like, I hate that this may have to happen, but I think you're right. I think I could use the help. I don't think I can do this by myself. So I will make a separate video if it does come down to having to accept the fact that, you know, she's going to have to start rebuilding. And if we do this and she starts and her things show up, you know, I was talking to her, I was like, you know, it's kind of hard to like give, like, especially on a GoFundMe, because there are fees and stuff involved that they take their portion of. It's one of those things that, why don't we siphon that off into a, like, pet rescue or something like that? You know, it will still go to an excellent cause, even if her stuff shows up. You know, she'll be able to pay it forward. But like in my whip parade, I was talking about Canny Bee Heart and how that, like, I was kind of unexpectedly surprised by the heartache that came with Canny Bee Heart, because I started that, and then I thought about, you know, Phoenix Rising and how we started that together, and how if she never sees her things again, yes, she can restart it, but, you know, she has even said she'll never be able to restart Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. There's too much of her heart and soul into that, in that piece to think about restarting. I don't blame her one bit on that. So I would like to, I wouldn't say end this, but to shift the conversation into something a little more positive. And that's in that part of my time away from filming has been forming a partnership with my good friend Ari, who has been an amazing, amazing friend through a lot of what I've been going through. And also a huge shout out to both Suki and Jen. I love you guys. Seriously, I don't think I could have gotten through a lot of this without you guys, without you ladies. But I have an Etsy shop now, guys. with my bags in them. There are, I forget how many there's listed at the moment. There's a small selection that is listed. They are slowly going into the shop. You know, I didn't want to, so Ari is basically managing my shop for me, to where I send her the raw data and pictures, and she forms them into coherent listings for me. And yes, she is going to be earning commission for the sales that happen for her involvement in this. Because obviously it was not happening on my own, and she and I complement each other very well when it comes to tasks and things like that. So, but yeah, I don't know how many of you watching will have remembered that I had a website last year. Was it last year or the year before last? Year before last. That I listed bags in, and I made some sales, but then I hadn't been able to keep up with actually making them. My time balancing skills were not good. They're still improving. I'm still learning how to cope with, we'll call them ADHD-like symptoms. To where I can focus enough to get everything done that I want to get done. I am learning to work with some of my squirrel habits, and instead of squirreling onto something like a game on my phone or something, I will, you know, if I'm having a hard time sitting still sewing a particular, you know, step on a hammock, I will take a break and I will go prep some stuff for the hammock, or I will sit down and I will go away. I will do some, you know, work on other stuff, but work. So yeah, I will link it below if you're interested in seeing the bags that I have to offer. I do. For any folks who are newer who might be curious, there is a bag video that I made a while back to explain my designs, because I do have kind of a system for these bags. They're simple vinyl fronted bags, but they've got some features that other bags don't have, and yeah. I don't want this to like turn into a plug video or anything, but I know I had people still inquiring if I was going to get more bags up, and that they were disappointed that they weren't able to get a hold of one, yada yada. So that's been a real excitement, and I'm to the point now where I'm making sure that I have 2 days where I'm not working on the hammocking business. And that those 2 days, yes, I will have time down, like time off, but I can also have time to work on my bags and actually work on them. And that's felt good. That's felt really good. And I can't thank her enough for helping to make it happen. Yeah, she also has a store called Blue Fox Stitchery. I will link her below. And she's got some amazing ideas that she is working on. I actually picked up there's a full coverage pattern in there that's like a cherry blossom. It's very pink. I love it. Here's a picture of it. I don't know when I'm going to start it, but I wanted to show my support when she opened her store, so I picked it up. I was her first sale. It felt good. But I have done some input, I guess, on a lot of those patterns. So, you know, she's sorry. There's I don't know if you can see that. There's this bug flying around. Where I've, you know, she's naming me as a collaborator because of the input that I've had on a lot of her patterns. There's one that we're working quite a bit together on that I am excited about. It's super cute. But I'll talk more about those in updates and as things flesh out a little bit better. But I would love for you to come and visit me in my shop and take a look around. No obligations, just come say hi. Oh, away. I don't want to squish it because I don't want it to get into my fabric. Go. You are not you. I squished my fingers. Not welcome. I have also started to dabble a little bit in pattern design myself. I'm not listing anything. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I would love it to happen. That would be really cool. But you know, there's a plethora of designers out there already who do amazing work. But I don't know. There's some satisfaction in doing it yourself too. But it did. I said I was going to talk about this too in my whip parade. It did give me some pause and thinking about like working, you know, what it would be like to work with artists and, you know, actually do some legitimate like full pattern conversions, you know, from artists' imagery. And of course, you know, there's the great AI debate. Now, if you've seen my collection, you know I do have some AI images that I've purchased, not images, charts that I've purchased from multitude of vendors, different people, not just one place. Even some of the big designers, like there's quite the kerfuffle right now with Heaven and Earth Designs. You know, some shops have been using it extensively for a while, and there doesn't seem to be the same drama associated with them as there is in Heaven and Earth Design. Different audiences, probably, I suppose. But it really got me thinking about, so the way I think about it is that human artists are not created in a bubble. They have inspirations, they have influences, they learn from other artists. The great artists, you know, Da Vinci, Raphael, they had students that they would teach. You know, people go to art school to learn from teachers who are presumably also artists. You know, maybe not well known, they're not all Thomas Kincaids or Renoir or Van Gogh, but artists nonetheless. So they're learning from, you know, artists see other works, and whether or not it's a conscious thought of learning how to do something like someone else or methods or things like that, it is there. We learn just by we learn from observation, we learn from, you know, seeing, from hearing. All of our senses bring that in. So to be exposed to artwork is to learn some of that artwork, to see a style and go, ooh, that's really pretty. That's cool. Now, do artists want to make their own name, their own style? Absolutely. You know, they want to be known for their own style. But that doesn't mean they were never influenced by anyone else's style. It's not really how humans work. So that being said, the fact that AI learns from other artists' work, while I do not condone the way AI is taught, I don't agree with. No, let's, hang on. Back up, reverse it. To have AI take specific aspects of works or specific artists' styles and say to an AI thing, you know, make me a dragon picture in the style of artist, or in the style of Randall Spangler, and poof, you have a work that is an amalgamation of all of his works. That's not okay. But to have an AI learn from all the photographs available on the internet, all of the art available on all of the animation, like, to have it as one, AI has come out with its own style, really. You know, yes, as AI learns, it gets harder and harder to see that particular style, to see the differentiation between, you know, especially with all the goofy artifacts that happen with AI still. In its raw form, AI is learning just like human artists from everything that they're being input, that is being input into that database that it's drawing from. There is a gray area. I realize that. I'm not oblivious to that. And what I started thinking about more and more as I was tinkering and tweaking and like daydreaming basically about what it would be like to work with an artist or artists, it does not hurt me to not buy AI art. It does not hurt me to table that kind of usage. It doesn't hurt me in the slightest to not use an AI engine to create an image, because there are so many images of out there that have been provided as open source, royalty free. There's plenty to choose from now. Of course, now you have to be careful of especially like art being submitted as art that is actually AI. But regardless of that, not regardless, but in addition to that, on the flip side even, it doesn't hurt me not to do that. It may actually, even if it's just how they feel about it and they feel hurt and angry and used, I need to honor that. I need to respect that, and I need to own that if my fellow human beings feel that their artwork is being utilized incorrectly, I need to respect that. So I will not be, you know, again, this is very much daydreaming, Valera. You know, that I, in my tinkering, sorry, I need to get a drink. that in my tinkering and quest for images to play around with and possibly chart, that I can't on the same hand support artists and their work and also have AI mixed in with it. That doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel good. That feels very disingenuous. So so yeah, that won't be a thing. I'm still going to stitch, you know, the things that I have. Kind of like the China kits, where prior to learning about copyright and things like that, I didn't know any better. I was just getting pretty pictures that were easier to stitch because it's printed on the canvas for me. You know, I had to get enough information to where I felt I could make a decision about it. So it is still, I feel like, a very personal decision. And yeah. So my stance on AI at this point in time is more neutral than anything. It will be tabled until there's more transparency with it. You know, I'm interested in facts about things when it comes to making decisions like this. So, you know, like I said, I am basing a decision to stop utilizing it for now based on how others feel, until I have more facts to tell me one way or the other. And I know this is a very passionate subject for a lot of people, so I do ask for any comments in my comment section to stay respectful. I'm happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. I will not tolerate any kind of aggressive comments, one way or the other. So, you know, I am happy to entertain adult discussion about it, for sure. But yeah, because I know it's a very touchy subject for a lot of people. And I just think I need more than just knee-jerk opinions about it. Well, I think that covers kind of pretty much everything that's been going on. Small mental breakdown, I guess. But I am doing a lot better. It's better day by day. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide, here's the number. The suicide hotline in the US. No, that is an amazing service. It really is, but even that I didn't feel like I could utilize. Actually, I mean, I didn't even think to utilize it, like think of it to utilize it. But even if I had, I would have struggled to use it. Like I said, I was going to try and end this on a happy thing, and nope, here I am, back at it. It's been a hard year, guys. It has been a very, very hard year, and I really had high hopes for 2024. I did. So, but yeah, man, if you've struggled with the black dog, man, my heart is with you. Know that I know how hard it is to convince yourself to talk to someone, but you will be missed. You do have an impact on this world, even if you don't know it or you're not aware of it. You're voluntarily exiting stage left will be noticed by more than the 2 people you think would care. Or no people that you think would care. If you're sitting here telling yourself, I don't even have 1 person that would care if I'm gone. That's that black dog lying through its teeth at you. Because I guarantee somebody is going to feel that hole you leave. Don't be afraid to even if you've tried therapy before, don't be afraid to talk to your doctor and give it another shot. It's so worth it. I've talked about this before, how even if you've had the worst experience with therapy and you did not click with your counselor, that when you do find somebody who seems to understand and is able to talk to you and you're able to talk to them and feel like you're actually being heard, it was worth every bad therapy session beforehand. Before that, it really is. When you start getting tools to help you cope with what you're going through, it's kind of an amazing feeling. You know, and the days are not going to be sunshine and rainbows right off the bat. It takes work. You know, I have to make a conscious effort every day to take the tools that I'm learning out of the bag and utilize them. And it feels really awkward at first until you're used to using them. Positive self-talk, that is so weird to like try and actually do it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like you're staring in the mirror and telling yourself, you are so beautiful, you can do it, you got that. That's not necessarily what it's about. Sometimes it's like pepping yourself up to get out of the bed. And you sit up and you actually get out of that bed. If that's the hardest thing you had to do that day so far, man, tell yourself, that's awesome. You are out of bed. Good job. All right, we got this, you know, okay. On to the next step, you know. One small shuffle foot in front of the other. Shuffle foot in front of the other. One small step. It's getting late. Brain's starting to be like, what are we doing up? I'm no expert. You know. I'm just me. Behind a camera half the time. I feel like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about more than half the time. My word is not God, that is for sure. But I have never claimed to be anything other than what I am. I think the world would do really well to have more people decide to actually be themselves. But it is hard. You are vulnerable when you do that. But it's also very empowering to actually have good, real human connection. And for anyone who has reached out over the last few months, know that those small acts were huge to me. Huge. It reminded me that even though I can't see the majority of the people that I know, that I still matter to some people. And the converse is true, that so many people matter. Like, to me, how do I want to say this? That you know, that whole you matter thing is true. You matter. And you matter to me. If you're listening to this. Even if we've never talked in person. Or even online. I don't know how to make this all happy and end it, like, without it feeling awkward. I don't know how to end this, guys. It's all deep and stuff. Other than thanks for listening. Thanks for taking the time to listen to my struggles and yeah. Be part of the change of humanness that we need to have in this world. So I won't say I hope you enjoyed it, but I hope you took comfort in the company and knowing that you're not alone. You want to see how much I did? Let's see how much we did today. Well, today might be... where's my... Today might be a big ask because I had stitched... Actually, if we stitch for 2 more minutes, my clock will switch out. Yeah, we'll switch over and I'll mark off what I just did. So I had stitched 793 today prior to starting the camera up. Because I wanted to get this border done so that I had something to, you know, stitch but not think about. So let's wait for that to click over. Maybe I can get these last few rows in and it'll be a nice even fill in. Yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions, you know, and you don't necessarily want to say them in the comment box simply because of this particular subject matter, you guys. I'm no therapist, but you know, I can't guarantee that I will be the one that is best for you to talk to. But if you have questions or comments or anything that you want to share that's not in the comment section, feel free to send me an email or message me on Facebook or Instagram. All that information is down below as well. I would also love to see your comments in this comment section. That's always fun. Okay, maybe not always fun, but for the most part it's fun. All right. Let me finish these last 2 in this row. It did switch over. Let's see what we got. Okay. It's been an hour and 38 minutes. A rather long stitch with me, wouldn't you say? Okay, let me zoom that out a little bit. That row. Okay. Is there 4 left in there? I'm shaking you, sorry. All right. 530 stitches. Okay, well, yeah, thanks again for the company, guys. I do appreciate it, even if it's not the most cheerful stitch with me you've ever sat through. I promise the next stitch with me will be of lighter nature. I don't know, maybe I'll do a tag or something. My stitch with me's aren't my forte. They tend to get quite a fewer number of people watching, but that's okay. Simply because less people enjoy stitch with me's, which is just fine. Depending on the rest of the year, that may be what you get from me. You know, maybe an update every couple of months, but I would like to come back a little more often, and that might be as a stitch with me. So, you can see where I had to frog. All right, guys, take care. Yeah, seriously, take care. And I hope I can help give you the confidence. Like, I'm sending you all of the confidence you need to be able to reach out to someone. The confidence, the strength to reach out to someone if you're struggling to. Because you're worth it. You are worth it. All right. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.